Yeah. 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 So many lies that you hear from the net, they don't get her respect. She reporting the truth, not a check. You want an unbiased opinion straight from the chest, not a bit accomplice or someone here for a check. Tune in, these are thoughts from a lawyer on a mission who goes so hard it's like she works on commission. Trolls in the comments might say she tripping cause they lack the knowledge. They don't know they missing. Got a couple current events that you like. Wanna know about law from the eyes. Tired of all these blogs running lies because their agendas are disguised. Tune in to the intellect, cause I'm sure y'all missing all the facts of the case that she steady is gifting. Someone here for the people, man, it's so uplifting. If you ain't subscribed yet, then you just omitting facts.
Hello, everyone. It is Pam Esquire, also known as Your Law Intellect. I hope you guys are having a fantabulous Friday. Let me know where you guys are coming in and checking in from in the chat. Let me know what city, what state, what's going on. If you would be so kind to hit that like button on the way in, that would be greatly appreciated. And please consider subscribing to the channel and hit the notification so you know each and every time I come on, if YouTube actually sends you a notification. Heavy on the if. But anyway, welcome to those that are going to say, I never got a notification, even though I hit that bell. Welcome to the replay when you come back. And I'll try to chit chat with you up in the chat. You guys know what we're here for. We're here to talk about Kim Kardashian. I never thought that I would see the day of which I would really be covering Kim Kardashian and Ray J. So for those that don't know, Kim Kardashian and her momager, Kris Jenner, filed a lawsuit against Ray J because he just talks a lot. Okay, he gets on the internet and he's yap, 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 yap. They said enough is enough and they hit him with the legal papers. And then on yesterday, Ray J responded. He answered to the complaint, but he also filed a cross complaint. And I have a sneaky suspicion that cross complaint is premised on and I haven't totally read any of these. You guys know how I am. I glance over it, but I haven't totally read nothing. But I think Ray J is going to use this opportunity to let us know what was going on with that X tape because Kim Kardashian, well, the Kardashians as a whole, a lot of people have said they're famous for being famous. They give some credit to the tape as why we know who Kim Kardashian is because we knew her as the sidekick of Paris Hilton, and she just kind of blew up, But we're going to get into the actual complaint that was filed by Kim Kardashian and Kris Jenner against Ray J, and then we're going to get into Ray J's cross complaint. All right. So let me say what's up to y'all real quick. Hey, Queen Shadina, happy Friday. What up? What up from Tampa? I know it's Listen, we are like 55 degrees here, and it feels like we are really having a heat wave, right? It was freezing the last 2 weeks. Over the weekend, we had snow, but today, honey, the sun was shining. I did my little hearing this morning, and honey, the way that sun was just beaming through the window and just making my face was like, it was just glowing, So we thank God for the sun today because, honey, I don't know where it's been for the last 2 weeks over here in Michigan, but shout out to you in Tampa. I know that it's way, way better than here. Hey, Chi-Town, one of my favorite spots, that's down the street. Go there for that good taste fest. And, I met some really good people over there in Chicago. But yeah, y'all get on in here. Get on in here. Okay, I'm going to. Hey, M. Matt, good to see you. Hey, y'all. Y'all better act like y'all care about Kim Kardashian and Ray J and pretend like y'all do at least. You know what I'm saying? Happy Friday, Motown Detroit Pisces. I'm assuming you're a 313. So yeah, if you guys have not hit the like button, then I'm gonna need you to do that for me. And wait for a couple of more people to get on in here. Hey, it's just slowly trickling in today. I guess my algorithm was like, girl, Kim Kardashian, where did that come from? Girl, what? You said our high is 76 and our low is 45. Our weather is about 45 is different over there in Florida. It's funny to me because my mom was well, she's from Ohio. She moved to Michigan. That's obviously where we were born and raised. And she moved to Florida probably 20 something odd years ago. And once you leave Michigan, I think people just forget our weather or something. I don't It's the weirdest thing. It's like, brr, it's 60 degrees, it's cold. I'm like, man, we were like walking in and 10 below zero to school, and you just bundled us up and put Vaseline on our face. Why is that cold now? Oh, brr, I get to put my Michigan fur on. It's 60 degrees. Like, what are we doing? Huh? Why are we putting on furs and coats? I just I everyone that leaves here, it's like they forget they go down there, and when you guys have a little bit of little cold front, it's like, oh my gosh, we can't leave out of the house. They're shutting down the buildings. We can't go to work. It's the funniest thing to me. And it feels like people like fall into that whole weather trap like real quick, of which they just forget where they came from. Okay. Left Detroit for Vegas. Now 70 degrees is sweater weather. Man, I love Vegas too. I'm trying to figure out where, I want to get another property to go. So it might be Henderson, Nevada. I like Cali, but I don't like Cali prices. I don't know if I'm ready to be that much of a big girl and have them type of big bills. And of course, Florida. So yeah, so anybody up in this joint, do real estate, hit me up. All right. That's enough small talk. Y'all, thank y'all for hitting the like button. Share, share, share. If you have not shared the live stream so other people will know. So let's first get into what Kim Kardashian had to say against Ray J. Okay, we've seen the headlines. Well, have we really seen the complaint? No, we haven't, but you're going to see it over here because we tried to pull up the document. So plaintiffs Kimberly Kardashian and Kris Jenner buying through their attorneys to bring this complaint against defendant William Ray Norwood, Ray J, for defamation and false light publicity. This is the nature of the action. For more than 2 decades, defendant William Ray Norwood Jr., also known as Ray J, has engaged in a sustained campaign of harassment and defamation against plaintiffs Kimberly Kardashian and Kris Jenner. Unable to accept the end of his fleeting relationship with Miss Kardashian over 20 years ago, Ray J has repeatedly sought to attach himself to plaintiff's name and exploit their prominence for personal gain. So they saying what Ray J just ain't over Kim. Okay. It's been 20 years and that's the one that got away. This action arises from Ray J's latest and most malicious defamatory conduct, declaring to millions of social media viewers that plaintiffs are subject of a federal criminal racketeering investigation. Ray J's defamatory campaign began on May 30th of 2025 when he appeared on the Fox and Tubi special TMZ Presents United States v. Sean Combs and stated that, quote, racketeering charges against the Kardashians would be appropriate, end quote. And quote, if you told me that the Kardashians were being charged for racketeering, I might believe it, end quote. Priming his audience for more sensational falsehoods to come. On September 24th, 2025, Ray J escalated his attacks during a social media live stream broadcast to millions, declaring, quote, the federal RICO I'm about to drop on Kris and Kim is about to be crazy, end quote. And that, quote, the feds is coming, end quote. Ray J then announced to the millions of viewers that the racketeering case against plaintiffs would be, quote, worse than Diddy, end quote, referring to the highly publicized federal RICO charges against Sean Diddy Combs for heinous allegations of sex trafficking and violent abuse of women. Ray J provided no evidence whatsoever for these explosive accusations. Ray J's public statements are blatantly false. No such federal investigation exists. No law enforcement agency has initiated any criminal proceedings or investigations related to racketeering charges against Ms. Kardashian or Ms. Jenner, and no credible evidence whatsoever supports these inflammatory allegations. Ray J's defamatory statements were not careless exaggerations, but calculated falsehoods, part of a decade-long effort to trade on plaintiffs' reputation, undermine their businesses, and inflict emotional reputational harm. Ray J's conduct represents an egregious abuse of social media and public platforms to weaponize lies about non-existent criminal investigations, while fully aware that such allegations, even when baseless, carry the power to damage plaintiffs' livelihood and hard-earned reputation. This is not Ray J's first time making false and inflammatory statements with wanton disregard for truth. Over the years, Ray J has repeatedly fabricated sensationalized claims and resorted to vulgar remarks about prominent women, apparently in hopes of staying relevant in the media. They called you irrelevant, bro. They did. For example, he recently admitted to fabricating claims of an intimate relationship with recording artist Janae Weary, Sexy Red, later conceding that he went out of control when making that false statement. These incidents exemplify Ray J's modus operandi, manufacturing salacious and degrading stories about successful women in the entertainment industry, particularly Miss Kardashian, to generate the publicity he craves. Ray J's acknowledged animosity towards the Kardashian family, coupled with his demonstrating willingness to lie for attention, leaves no room for doubt that his recent RICO statements were neither careless or impulsive. They were the latest salvo in deliberate and malicious campaign of harassment and defamation intended to defame plaintiffs while reviving his own fading notoriety. Ray J's May 30th, 2025 and September 24th, 2025 public statements related to a non-existent RICO investigation into plaintiffs have been widely disseminated through media outlets, causing substantial and ongoing harm to plaintiffs' personal and professional reputation. Media reports have repeated Ray J's false allegations, with headlines stating that, quote, racketeering charges make more sense for the Kardashians than Diddy, and detailing that Ray J is railing against the racketeering conspiracy charge Diddy is facing. He says a RICO charge against the Kardashians would be more believable. As intentionally recognized public figures and successful businesswomen, Ms. Kardashian and Ms. Jenner have built their reputation on integrity, business acumen, and professional excellence. Ray J's obviously false allegations of a federal criminal investigation for racketeering, among the most serious categories of criminal conduct, strike directly at the heart of their character, integrity, and standing in the public eyes, causing harm to their personal and professional reputations. Plaintiffs bring this action to hold Ray J accountable for his calculated campaign of lies and harassment, to put an end to this years-long pattern of exploiting their names for notoriety, and to seek redress for the substantial harm his malicious conduct has caused to their reputations, livelihoods, and emotional well-being. What do you guys think so far? You guys, is it reeling you in? Is this reeling you guys in here? Yes, the integrity. Y'all didn't see integrity? Huh? Good afternoon, y'all. Good to see you. Please make sure you hit that like button on your way in. I'm sorry I had to get to it because I have two complaints to go over, because Ray J said, I'm going to respond to this, not just with an answer, but I'm also going to sue you back. All right. So we have that complaint as well. Willie Ray, listen, Willie, they said you have a fading, you're trying to keep your fading notoriety in existence. They said it's leaving, it's leaving, it's leaving, it's leaving, it's leaving. Whew. Jay said that's Snoop Dogg's cousin. He needs to help his cousin. Mm. So we know who all the parties are. Okay, so we're in jurisdiction and venue. We ain't going through all that. But let's go to the statements of facts. Let's hear Kim Kardashian's, and because you know they about to do their whole bio, how great they are. So plaintiff Kimberly Kardashian is a highly successful businesswoman, media personality, and advocate for criminal justice reform. Miss Kardashian has built a business empire most recently centered around her shapewear and loungewear brand Skims, which she co-founded in 2019. Skims has achieved remarkable success with a valuation of $4 billion as of 2023. Beyond her business achievements, Ms. Kardashian has pursued legal education and become a prominent advocate for criminal justice reform. In May of 2025, Ms. Kardashian graduated from California's Law Office Study Program after 6 years of rigorous legal study. Ms. Kardashian's legal journey was inspired by her work with organizations like hashtag Cut 50, where she was successfully lobbied for criminal justice reform and help secure clemency for numerous individuals. Ms. Kardashian has leveraged her platform and resources to advocate for meaningful change in the criminal justice system. She has worked closely with legal professionals and policy experts, meeting with presidents and vice presidents to discuss reform initiatives, and has made criminal justice advocacy a core part of her public identity. Ms. Kardashian's efforts highlight systematic inequities in the legal system, particularly those affecting people of color and economically disadvantaged, and her financial resources have funded legal teams to fight cases that would otherwise be forgotten. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you to Kimberly Kardashian. All right, let's go on to Miss Kris Jenner. Plaintiff Kris Jenner is a visionary entrepreneur, media executive, and business strategist who has built one of the most successful family business empires in entertainment history. Now, I do got to give it to we got to give it to Kris. Kris does her thing. She does her thing. All of them kids are, successful from yay high. She got the juice when it comes to that. As CEO of her production company, Jenner Communications, and manager of her children's careers, Ms. Jenner has orchestrated the transformation of her family from reality television personalities into multi-billion-dollar business conglomerates. Her strategic business acumen has been instrumental in launching and guiding successful ventures, including Kylie Cosmetics, Skims, Good American, 818 Tequila, and numerous other brands that collectively represent over $5 billion in value. Ms. Jenner has demonstrated exceptional leadership and foresight in navigating the rapidly evolving media landscape. She was the driving force behind Keeping Up with the Kardashians, which ran for 20 seasons and became a cultural phenomenon. As an executive producer for most of her family's reality programs and creator of multiple spin-off series, Ms. Jenner has proven her ability to create compelling content that resonates with global audiences while building sustainable business enterprises. As a published author, let me blow this up just in case you guys want to read along. As a published author, television personality, and business mentor, Ms. Jenner has shared her expertise and inspired countless entrepreneurs. She has authored multiple books and has hosted her own television programs. Industry experts have praised her as the 21st century's preeminent female pop culture brand builder and, quote, the matriarch of the Kardashian-Jenner broad. Recognizing her unique ability to monetize personal branding while maintaining authenticity and business integrity. So let's see if they have anything nice to say about Ray J. Okay. Now we about to know about defending Ray J. Okay. He said Ray J is an annoying cheater. I don't know. Let's see what they say. Let's see if they say anything nice. Maybe they'll talk about Raycon. He made a lot of money on Raycon. No. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Defendant William Ray Norwood Jr., commonly known as Ray J, is a former R&B singer and songwriter. Ooh, they said former, who has had a decade-long pattern of making false and inflammatory statements to generate media attention and remain relevant in the public spotlight. His musical career peaked with singles like One Wish in 2005, they like 20 years ago, and Sexy Can I, 2008, but his celebrity status has largely been sustained through reality television appearances, controversial public statements, and repeated attempts to insert himself into high profile controversies. Ray J's connection to Miss Kardashian dates back over 2 decades to a brief relationship they shared in the early 2000s. He has continuously exploited his past association to generate publicity and harass Miss Kardashian long after their relationship ended. Despite the passage of more than 20 years since their relationship, Ray J has persistently sought to inject himself into her life and maintain relevance by making defamatory statements about her and her family. Ray J has demonstrated a consistent and well documented pattern of making false, sensationalized claims about high profile individuals to generate media attention, which he subsequently retracts when confronted with the consequences of his lies. For example, in June of 2025, Ray J falsely claimed during a Twitch live stream that he had an intimate relationship with recording artist Sexy Red, stating explicitly that, quote, he slept with Sexy Red. So when Miss Weary publicly confronted him, called his claims, quote, weird, and accused him of lying, Ray J promptly retracted his statement and issued a public apology, admitting that he, quote, went out of control and describing his behavior as trolling at the highest level. That was childish, uncalled for, and insensitive. Ray J's defamatory statements about plaintiffs are part of a broader campaign of harassment designed to generate publicity for his flailing career and satisfy his acknowledged animosity towards the Kardashian family. His false allegations of federal criminal investigations represent an escalation of years of antagonistic behavior, including his 2013 release of a song titled, quote, I hit it first. That was widely understood as disparaging reference to Miss Kardashian. His repeated social media attacks on the family and his attempts to insert himself into various controversies involving them. I know he did not do a song called I Hit It First. I didn't even know he did that. Okay. So apparently, you guys, they didn't have much nice to say about Ray J. They could have talked about Moesha. You know, he didn't just have the songs. He had Moesha. He had Raycon. He sold that for a whole lot of money. You know, he's done a few things, but they said this isn't about Ray J. We're not saying anything nice about him. This isn't his bio. Absolutely not. We're not saying anything nice. You said that song was good. Okay, so everybody talking about it was a great song. You know what? You said I hit it in my head. It's playing in my okay. Now I hit it. I'm gonna have to listen to the song because I don't even remember what. You said it was a Kim lookalike in a video. Okay, I'm gonna have to watch it. Okay, as soon as we get off of here. So these are the statements that they're alleging was defamatory. Ray J's false and defamatory campaign against plaintiffs began in earnest during a May 30th, 2025 interview with TMZ, where he made his first public statement suggesting that Ms. Kardashian and Ms. Jenner were appropriate subjects for federal criminal racketeering charges. During the interview, which was conducted as part of TMZ's coverage of Sean Diddy Combs, with then pending RICO charges alleging heinous acts of sex trafficking and violent abuse of women, Ray J deliberately drew a false parallel by stating, quote, if you told me that the Kardashian was being charged for racketeering, I might believe it. This statement was designed to plant the seed in the public mind that Ms. Kardashian and Ms. Jenner were somehow comparable to an individual facing serious federal criminal charges, despite having no factual basis for such a comparison. To date, Ray J has not retracted his knowingly false and disparaging statement. His defamatory statement led to tabloid publications with headlines such as, quote, RICO charge is totally bogus. Kardashian said yes, Diddy no. Ray J's defamatory statement escalated dramatically on or around September 24th, 2025, when he falsely claimed during a social media live stream to millions of viewers that federal authorities had initiated a criminal investigation into plaintiffs. Ray J made the statement during a live stream with Krishan Rock, a rapper and television personality who has over 7 million followers across social media platforms. During the live stream, Ray J made the following false and fabricated statements. One, the federal RICO I'm about to drop on Kris and Kim is about to be crazy. The feds is coming. There's nothing I can do about it. It's worse than Diddy. It's worse than Diddy. I'm talking about I'm on the news every day. I'm going to say a lot of ish. And anybody that is cool with Kim, they need to tell her now. The rain is coming. The feds is coming. These statements were presented as factual assertions about ongoing federal criminal proceedings, not as speculation or opinion. The defamatory statements are categorically false and constitute textbook defamation per se under California law, as they falsely impute serious criminal conduct to plaintiffs and cause immediate and presumed reputational damage. And they have the case law. Ray J's publication of these serious criminal accusations without any attempt of verification or corroboration from legitimate law enforcement sources who would have readily confirmed that no such investigation exists constitutes reckless disregard for the truth under the actual malice standard. His reliance on his own unsubstantiated assertions, despite having no factual basis or credible source for these inflammatory allegations, demonstrate a fundamental disregard for truth and a willful intent to harm plaintiff's reputation. Upon information and belief, Ray J personally fabricated the defamatory statement, and because they originated entirely from his own imagination, he knew them to be false when he made them. Additionally, Ray J's anger and hostility towards plaintiffs evidences his motive and intent to spread false and defamatory information about plaintiffs via the defamatory statements, and they had case law for that. Ray J's false statements were quickly disseminated through various media outlets, generating widespread coverage with headlines that repeated his defamatory claims as newsworthy developments. Media reports detail Ray J's assertions with headlines such as Ray J claimed he's working on RICO case targeting Kim Kardashian, Kris Jenner, that's worse than Diddy, and reporting that Ray J shocked viewers when he took part in a live stream conversation with Krishan Rock, during which he alleged that he's currently cooperating with the federal government in hopes of bringing Kardashian and Jenner to justice. The false statements achieved their intended effect of generating significant media attention and public speculation about plaintiffs' alleged involvement in federal criminal investigations. These statements are entirely false. No such federal investigation exists. No law enforcement agency has initiated any criminal proceedings or investigations related to racketeering charges against plaintiffs. And Ray J is not cooperating with any federal authorities regarding plaintiffs, as no such investigation or cooperation could exist. Impact of the statements. Due to Ray J's defamatory statements, plaintiffs have been at the center of a media storm speculating as to their alleged illegal behavior. As a direct consequence, plaintiffs have suffered reputational harm that has affected and will continue to affect their professional relationships. The financial impact of this harm will be proven at trial. So the first cause of action, as you probably could guess, is defamation. Somebody said, how is that defamation? It's actually defamation per se, because they're accusing them of committing a crime. That's what makes it defamation. Ray J published false and defamatory assertions of and concerning plaintiffs, including without limitation a false and defamatory statement identified in paragraphs 24 to 30. The defamatory statements falsely assert that plaintiffs are the subject of a federal criminal racketeering investigation that is worse than Diddy, referring to the highly publicized federal RICO charges against Sean Diddy Combs for heinous allegations of sex trafficking and violent abuse of women. The allegations are false. They are not the subject of federal investigation. There is no investigation into plaintiffs for racketeering. The defamatory statements constitute defamation per se because they falsely assert that plaintiffs have committed a serious crime. See? They, without reference to extrinsic evidence, tend to subject plaintiffs to hatred, contempt, ridicule, aversion, and disgrace, and they are injurious to them in their trade, business, or profession. The defamatory statement constitutes defamation per quad because they tended to injure plaintiffs in her occupation, expose them to hatred, contempt, ridicule, or shame, and discourage others associating or dealing with plaintiffs. The defamatory statements constitute slander per se, pursuant to Civil Code Section 46, as Ray J's false oral statements charge plaintiff with having committed a crime. The defamatory statements were not privileged. Ray J made the defamatory statements to millions of viewers. On information and belief, Ray J made the defamatory statements with the knowledge that they were false, or at the very least with reckless disregard for the truth, for the following reasons. Ray J invented his claims entirely from his own imagination and thus knew them to be false when he made them. Ray J has no source of his claims and conducted no investigation. He alleged an ongoing criminal investigation into plaintiffs but made no attempt to contact law enforcement or plaintiffs to confirm the statements were true. And Ray J has demonstrated hostility towards plaintiffs and incentive to make defamatory statements about them. He knows that his tenuous connection from decades ago is the only thing that keeps him relevant. I'll repeat for you all. They say, according to the Kardashian Jenners, he knows that his tenuous connection from decades ago is the only thing that keeps him relevant. He's utterly forgotten as a figure without Kardashians. So he needs to make more explosive comments to stay in public consciousness. Wow. We make you relevant, basically. As a direct and proximate result of the defamatory statements, plaintiffs have suffered substantial economic damages, harm to their reputation and shame, mortification or hurt feelings. Plaintiffs are entitled to actual, presumed, and punitive damages in amounts to be specifically determined at trial. The second cause of action is false light publicity. Ray J publicly disclosed information that showed plaintiff in a false light, including without limitation the false and defamatory statements identified in paragraph 24 to 30. The defamatory statements falsely asserted that plaintiffs are the subject of the federal criminal racketeering investigation. That is worse than Diddy, referring to the highly publicized federal RICO charges against Sean Diddy Combs for heinous allegations of sex trafficking and violent abuse of women. The false light created by the disclosure of these assertions is offensive to a reasonable person in plaintiff's position because they falsely assert that plaintiffs are suspected of committing serious crimes. The defamatory statements were not privileged. Ray J made the defamatory statement to millions of viewers. On information and belief, Ray J knew these assertions would create a false impression about plaintiffs and made the defamatory statements with the knowledge that they were false, or at the very least with reckless disregard for their truth, for the following reasons. And it's the same reasons that I just read over there in the defamation part. So we're not going to reread those. So the plaintiffs respectfully, they're saying, well, let me go back. As a direct and proximate result of the defamatory statements, plaintiffs have suffered substantial economic damages. So the prayer for relief from the Kardashian Jenner is wherefore plaintiffs respectfully pray for judgment and relief against defendant Ray J as follows: an award of actual damages and amount to be proven at trial, an award of punitive damages, reasonable costs and attorney fees pursuant to applicable law, pre and post judgment interest as applicable, and any other relief the court deems just and appropriate. They also ask for a jury trial. If this goes to trial, I'm there. Y'all, you get me? If this goes to trial, I am in the building. Why didn't they sue Kanye? He has repeatedly accused them of sex trafficking. Child, I don't know. That's a good question. I have no idea. Maybe because they did have. I think when I first started, I was covering the divorce for a minute, but you guys wasn't that interested, so we didn't continue to talk about it. So I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. I didn't know that Kanye was. I know Kanye has said some wild things, but I didn't know that he accused them of trafficking. That's interesting. All right. So he answered the complaint yesterday. If you just answer a complaint in California, it's very brief. So he generally just denied it. He said under California Code of Civil Procedures, he generally and specifically denies each and every allegation in the complaint. Defendant further denies that plaintiffs are entitled to any relief. Then he gave affirmative defenses. So these are his offenses. He says release, a settlement agreement entered into by the parties releases defendant from all liability relating to all claims in the complaint. His second affirmative defense is settlement. The matters alleged in the complaint are barred by a settlement agreement entered into by the parties. Third defense is waiver. By conduct, representation, and omissions, plaintiffs have waived, relinquished, or abandoned any claim for relief against defendant raised in the complaint. Fourth defense is consent. Plaintiff consented to and approved of all of defendant's acts and omissions about which they now complain. Fifth defense is plaintiffs have established no standing to sue defendant. 6, set off and recoupment without conceding that the defendant has caused any damage to plaintiff's. Defendant is entitled to offset and recoup against any judgment that may be entered against him, all obligation that plaintiffs owe defendant. 7th is truth. He says the statement made by defendant alleging the complaint were true when they were made. His 8th affirmative defense is laches. The complaint is barred by the doctrine of laches. Basically, you waited too long. Unclean hands is the 9th defense. The complaint is barred by the doctrine of unclean hands. 10th is estoppel. By conduct, representations, and omissions, plaintiffs are equitably estopped to assert any claim for relief against defendant as alleged in the complaint. So his prayer for relief is that plaintiff take nothing, y'all get zero, that the complaint be dismissed in its entirety with prejudice, for defendant's cost of suit incurred in defense of this action, for defendant's recovery of attorney fees and expended in the defense of this action to the extent permitted by law or contract, for other relief this court deems just and proper. Now, when it comes to these defenses, that doesn't necessarily mean that all of these, maybe it's one or two of these, maybe it's none of these, maybe it's some of these actually apply. There are certain defenses. You have to raise defenses that may be applicable. So some of these may or may not. So we can't just assume there was an outside settlement. We can't really just assume there was already we can't really assume, because you're kind of one of those throw it up against the wall type things when you do your affirmative defenses, because sometimes you don't know what is going to come out in discovery. There's some things that you just don't know. And so you want to put it as a defense so you don't lose it as a defense later on. So I just want to put that out there, that just because he put those defenses on there doesn't mean he actually has those defenses. So, hey, good to see y'all. So y'all ready for this Ray J complaint? Say yeah. Ray J said, "This is my time to shine. I'm about to file a counter complaint." We seen headlines yesterday of people that, were saying, I think the Kardashians' attorney, lambasted them. They do have Quinn Emanuel. For those that don't, now Quinn Emanuel, I was just thinking yesterday, I said they should do that firm should do some type of reality show, because they represent everybody. They are the ones that represented Jay-Z. They are also on Tyler Perry's case. I believe they are also on Meg Thee Stallion's case. So yeah, they have Queen Emanuel. They got the heavy hitter. The Kardashian Jenner got the heavy hitter on there. So yeah, so let's get in. You said let's go, Ray J. Let's pull up Ray J's complaint. We've heard all the headlines. We've seen all of the summary quotes. Now, over here on The Law Intellect, we are going to pull up the actual cross complaints. All right. If you're ready, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. So this is the cross complaint. Okay. And this is his intro. This is Ray J's intro. Kim Kardashian and Kris Jenner's lawsuit is not about defamation. It's about publicity, power, and punishment. Mother and daughter have spent 2 decades peddling the false story that the sex tape that Kardashian filmed with her former boyfriend Willie Ray Norwood Jr. was leaked against her will. They are furious that Norwood no longer wants to play along with their tall tale. They filed their lawsuit to feed their insatiable appetite for attention, garner support for their various media and marketing enterprises, and exact retribution on Norwood. Their complaint is a public relations charade. Half their, quote, allegations consist of self-indulgent, self-laudatory assertions about Kardashians and Jenner's business endeavors. The other half consists of malicious falsehoods about Norwood. Here is the truth. On the reality show The Kardashians, Kardashian Jenner and Kardashian's ex-husband Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, falsely accused Norwood of sexually assaulting Kardashian while she was asleep, releasing revenge porn and extortion. After Norwood initiated legal proceedings, Kardashian, Jenner, and their production company, Jenner Communication Inc., together the cross-defendant, entered into a settlement agreement with him. Kardashian agreed to pay Norwood $6 million. Cross-defendant agreed to ensure that no further mention or public reference to the sex tape is made on the Kardashians, and any further disparagement entitles Norwood to $1 million in liquidated damages. Yet, almost immediately after the agreement was executed, statements by Kardashians, Jenner, Ye, and Kendall about the sex tape aired on the Kardashians in violation of the agreement. Kardashians and Jenner's sole remedy under the agreement is to bring any claim, no matter how weak, in confidential arbitration. Instead, they have filed a meritless lawsuit against Norwood for defamation and false light publicity claims, which they released, and a civil suit, which is barred by the agreement. Norwood will not allow Kardashian and Jenner to weaponize the judicial system, shirk their contractual obligations, and sacrifice him on the altar of fame. Okay, Ray J. What? Happy Friday. Ray J came with the smoke. Okay. Right, unload him. You said Willie Ray. Wow. Wow. Okay. I wasn't expecting all that. So shoot, let me take that back. Maybe he do got a little something going on in that affirmative defense is talking about settlements and agreements and all of that. Maybe I need to mind my business. Shoot, stay out of them millions of dollar settlement agreements they alleging exist. He is swinging. Jay said both are wrong. Paid each other $5 million in court costs in the trial. I don't know. They threw that $6 million. What was it? $6 million? Like it was nothing to a boss. Kardashian agreed to pay him $6 million. Wow. This is all an allegation. It is all alleged. Let's get into the facts here because now I'm interested. Okay, you seen it was the parties and the venue. Y'all know what that's about. We know the parties. Okay, we know the venues. We know all of that. Let's go ahead. Kardashian and Jenner released the sex tape. In 2003, Norwood and Kardashian consensually filmed themselves having sex during a trip to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. Kardashian kept the tape, which Norwood has never possessed. In 2006, Norwood and Kardashian discussed publicly releasing the Cabo tape. Kardashian had worked for Paris Hilton. That's what I remember her as. Kardashian had worked for Paris Hilton, whose sex tape was leaked without her consent, drawing meteoric international attention. Kardashian aspired to even greater fame. She insisted that Jenner, her mother, had to be in charge of the tape's release and commercial exploitation. Jenner had Kardashian and Norwood sign licensing agreements with the porn production company that released the tape, Vivid Entertainment. Jenner made her daughter and Norwood film a second tape in Santa Barbara. That's the Santa Barbara tape, because she considered the first tape to be insufficiently dirty. Jenner watched both tapes before the group collectively decided to release the Cabo tape. Kardashian, Jenner, and Vivid agreed that Kardashian would file a bogus lawsuit against the porn company to create buzz ahead of the tape release. And then they got the case number. The complaint states that Kardashian did not intend, authorize, or consent to the distribution of the videotape and never intended or expected the videotape of her most intimate acts to be made a product of commercial exploitation and mass public distribution. These were lies. Vivid and Kardashian, quote, leaked to TMZ that they, quote, settled for $5 million. There was no such settlement. In March 2007, Vivid distributed the Cabo tape as Kim Kardashian's superstar sex tape. Kardashian and Norwood stayed friends after the release, but after Norwood's mother and business manager Sonia Norwood discovered that Kardashian and her siblings incurred around $850,000 in unauthorized charges to credit cards maintained by members of the Norwood family, Sonia sued. They got the case number on here. Wow. So Sonia Norwood sued them. I heard about that, but I never looked into that. I'm going to have to pull that up. Kardashian begged Norwood to ask his mother to drop her from the suit. Kardashian said she was fine with Sonia suing her siblings. Norwood refused, and the former couple fell out. Kardashian and Jenner capitalized on the sex tape for nearly 2 decades. I don't know. This is a lot, guys. I'm clutching my string. All right, let's go on. You guys hit that like button. Hit the like button. We bringing the real deal over here, okay? This is our allegations, but it is what was filed on the docket with the courts. Okay, so cashing in on the sex tape's notoriety, Jenner landed a deal in August 2007 for her family to appear on a reality series, Keeping Up with the Kardashians. The show's first episode opens with Kardashian and Jenner lying about their role in the tape's release. For the next 2 decades, Kardashian took every opportunity to draw attention to herself and painstakingly weave a false victim narrative around the sex tape. Kardashian penned a falsehood-riddled essay about the sex tape for Glamour and discussed the tape in interviews with GQ, Rolling Stone, the Los Angeles Times, Oprah Winfrey, David Letterman, and Andy Cohen and Tyra Banks. Cross-defendants fake a sex tape controversy to promote the Kardashians. In 2021, cross-defendants began work on their new show, The Kardashians. Cross defendants served as executive producers, script and choreographed the show, and meticulously review and approve all footage. To generate publicity for the premiere, cross defendants manufactured a fresh fake sex tape controversy. In season 1, Kardashian says that Norwood, 1, gave the Santa Barbara tape, which she knows he never possessed, to his quote former manager, and 2, sexually assaulted her by quote sticking a dildo up her arse, end quote, while she was asleep. Kardashian, Jenner, and Ye also accused Norwood of extorting them for a laptop containing the Santa Barbara tape. Norwood agreed to commercially release the sex tape. He never agreed to this. Norwood messaged Kardashian on Instagram in April 2022 to confront her about the lies broadcast on the Kardashians. In an attempt to remedy the situation, Kardashian begged him to go along with yet another false quote story that she wanted to run on the show, that they were working with Vivid to remove the sex tape from the internet. Norwood declined. Now we're getting into the agreement. So this is the alleged agreement, y'all, that he's saying exists between him. Oh my gosh. I know y'all wasn't ready for this because I wasn't either. I said, what? The agreement. Norwood initiated legal proceedings against Kardashian and Jenner after a mediation. Cross defendants Norwood and Sonia, Norwood parties, executed the agreement in April of 2023. Together, it's going to be called agreement parties. A summary of the terms follow. Payment. Kardashian agreed to pay Norwood $6 million. No further public statements. The agreement parties must refrain from any further public reference to the sex tape, including by ensuring no further mention or public reference to the sex tape is made on the Kardashians. Public statements made prior to the agreement effective date are not covered by this provision. Non-disparagement clause. The agreement parties cannot disparage each other or authorize another to commit disparagement. Mutual release. The agreement states that it constitutes the settlement of all past, current, or future disputes, claims, and that the agreement parties wish to fully, finally, and forever resolve all disputes. The mutual release extends to claims that hereafter can, shall, or may exist between cross defendants and the Norwood parties and excludes, quote, only claims based upon an actual or alleged breach of this agreement. Damages. Violation of the non-disparagement provision entitled the non-breaching party to $1 million in liquidated damage, consequential, indirect, and special damages. Arbitration. The agreement parties must litigate any issues arising from this agreement and confidential arbitration. Cross defendants immediately breached the agreement. Season 3 of The Kardashians premiered on May 2023, 1 month after the agreement was executed. Episode 1 and 10 feature statements by Kardashian, Jenner, Ye, and Kendall about the sex tape. Norwood promptly notified cross defendants that they materially breached the agreement, but cross defendants insisted that the agreement did not extend to season 3, which was filmed before the agreement's effective date. This position defies the agreement's plain text, acknowledging that the season 3 statements constituted a breach of the agreement. Cross defendants tried to coax Norwood and Sonia into signing an amendment to the agreement for no consideration that will release the cross defendants from liability for public statements that were made but not publicized until after the effective date. Norwood and Sonia declined. Whoa. So now we're going to get into the RICO comments, because I was about to say, what does this have to do with the RICO? Okay. So now we're about to see, Elite Leo said, I believe some of his argument is they breached it first. Yeah, he's saying they breached the agreement on the show when they air, because they're the executive producers. They allegedly do the scripting, they do the editing. You see what they want you to see. It's not like other reality shows where you come in off the street and you're just happy to have a job. And so people say, oh, they put this over here. I made this comment connected to this. They are the ones that, according to him, are the ones that are editing and doing everything. And so allegedly, after this agreement was made and signed, a month later, that's when the Kardashians occurred. And he's alleging that the sex tape was mentioned by three of these people. So immediately it was a breach. He's saying he contacted them, let them know that they had breached because there's $1 million liquidated damage clause, allegedly. So let's get into the RICO comments. Understandably, Norwood was frustrated by Cross defendants' blatant violations of the agreement, which he had signed to protect his young children from further exposure to Kardashian and Jenner's lies about the sex tape. On May 30th, 2025, Norwood appeared on a TMZ show concerning the high-profile trial of Sean Combs, professionally known as Diddy, who was charged by federal prosecutors with violating the RICO statute. At the time, there was extensive public disclosure about the criminal enterprise element of Combs' alleged RICO violation. Many legal commentators agreed that RICO was not an appropriate charge, and Combs was later acquitted of violating RICO. Norwood saw parallels between RICO and Kardashians and Jenner conspiracy with Vivid to release and lie about the sex tape, as well as Cross defendants' conspiracy to trick him into signing the agreement before broadcasting further content about the sex tape. Norwood considered whether he should bring his own lawsuit against Kardashian and Jenner under the civil RICO statute and whether they would be protected by the RICO violations. I kind of seen where he was going with this, but let me read further before I comment. So during the TMZ show, Norwood explained that Combs' RICO charge didn't make sense. He threw in an aside, if you told me that the Kardashian was being charged for racketeering, I might believe it, but did he? On September 24, 2025, Norwood appeared on a Twitch live stream. When his part ended, he walked off camera and believed that his microphone was off. Norwood made an off-camera comment that he did not know was being live streamed. The federal RICO, though, on KK and Kris, the federal RICO I'm about to drop on Kris and Kim, is about to be crazy. If anybody know Kim or is cool with Kim, they need to tell her now. The rain is coming. The feds is coming. It's worse than Diddy. The feds is coming to investigate because I can't be the dirty guy no more. That's his argument. I'm gonna let's put a pin in that because I had a few things to say about that, Mr. Ray J. Kardashian and Jenner sue. On October 2nd, 2025, Kardashian and Jenner sued Norwood for defamation and false light publicity based on his comments on TMZ and Twitch, breaching the mutual release and arbitration provisions. They accused Norwood of being unable to accept the end of his fleeting relationship with Miss Kardashian over 20 years ago. Yep, they said it. Conducting a calculated campaign of lies and harassment, a years-long pattern of exploiting Kardashian and Jenner's name for notoriety, and making vulgar remarks about prominent women, apparently in hopes of staying relevant in the media. Nothing could be further from the truth, and the irony of these statements is apparently lost on Kardashian and Jenner. Due to the lawsuits, Kardashian obsessed portrayal of Norwood, his business partners expressed hesitation with moving forward with planned television and live streaming projects unless he publicly cleared his name. Accordingly, Norwood contested the lawsuit's narrative about him on his Instagram account, including by discussing the agreement. Even though Kardashian and Jenner have waived their right to enforce the arbitration provision by filing the lawsuit, they have filed a demand for arbitration against Norwood, asserting that his statement on Instagram violates the agreement. The agreement does not allow Kardashian and Jenner to push their propaganda publicly in a lawsuit, while bearing the existence of the agreement in confidential arbitration. So the first action he's saying is a breach of contract against all cross defendants. He's saying they materially and substantially breached the no further public statements, non-disparagement, mutual release, damages, and arbitration provision of the agreement. Norwood has performed all obligations and conditions precedent required by the agreement. If Norwood's statement on TMZ, Twitch, and Instagram constitute a breach of the agreement, the breaches were not material, and any failure to perform was excused by cross-defendants' material breaches of the agreement. As a result of cross-defendants' breaches, Norwood is entitled to at least $1 million in liquidated damages, plus interest at the legal rate, and he has suffered consequential, indirect, and special damages. The damages flow directly from and are the natural and probable consequences of cross-defendants' breaches. The broadcast of statements concerning the sex tape on season 3, the Kardashians and Kardashian and Jenner's filing of the lawsuit have damaged Norwood's business opportunity. Second cause of action is declaratory relief. An actual present controversy exists concerning whether the arbitration provision of the agreement required Kardashian and Jenner to bring their defamation and false light publicity claims against Norwood in arbitration instead of via the lawsuit. An actual present controversy exists concerning whether Kardashian and Jenner's filing of the lawsuit waived their ability to enforce the arbitration provision, releasing Norwood from an obligation to file the claims in the cross-complaint arbitration and from litigating Kardashian and Jenner's demand for arbitration. An actual present controversy exists concerning whether Kardashian and Jenner have released all claims against Norwood in the lawsuit under the agreement. Norwood requested the court judge the parties' rights and duties under the agreement. His prayer for relief on the first cause of action ordered the cross-defendant to pay Norwood's liquidated damage of at least $1 million, actual, consequential, indirect, and special damages according to proof plus interest at this legal rate. On the second cause of action, issue a judicial declaration that 1, the arbitration provision of the agreement required Kardashian and Jenner to bring their defamation and false light publicity claims against Norwood in arbitration instead of via the lawsuit. 2, Kardashian and Jenner filing of the lawsuit waived their ability to enforce the arbitration provision, releasing Norwood from an obligation to file the claims in the cross-complaint and arbitration and from litigating Kardashian and Jenner's demand in arbitration. And 3, Kardashian and Jenner released all claims against Norwood in the lawsuit again under the agreement. Order cross-defendant to pay Norwood's attorney fees and costs incurred as provided in the agreement. I got a couple of problems with this. So I said it before that I feel like, so he put the agreement out there. My understanding is the agreement pertains to specific, from what I'm reading, it appears it pertains specific to the sex tape. How do you believe that this sex tape agreement that you allege exists, how do you think that that just shields you from each and everything that you ever do in life? Because the RICO had absolutely nothing to do with this agreement. So they're really arguing that because of this settlement agreement with the sex tape, there's an arbitration clause, so it never should have been filed at all. It should have went to arbitration to keep it quiet, so nobody know that it's happening. You also said it released you of all claims past whatever the different language that's in there. Some of that language is a little murky that I saw, but it has some release languages. I don't think it's just all in. I mean, you're not supposed to say disparaging marks about anyone. So there's a disparagement clause. But I'm not understanding how this just keeps you from. So that means you can just go out and just go ham on her and go ham on the family and then say, but I got this agreement from when you paid this $6 million. I don't think it works like that. That's my number one. Number two, when he talks about this RICO, you saying you meant a civil RICO. Yet you were discussing a federal criminal RICO. When you were talking about Diddy's case, your case was referring specifically to the criminal case we were all covering in the Southern District of New York. That's what was being discussed. So how do you compare that and say, oh, well, he meant civilly? Then you on a hot mic is what you basically saying. You didn't mean for it to be streamed when you said it. Let's just assume what you're saying is correct. You still said the feds are coming. When you do a civil RICO, you can go get me. You can go get Alex Spiro. You can go get any attorney that can practice in that state to do a civil RICO. However, usually when the feds come, the feds, they're coming and investigating from a criminal aspect. So I feel like you're playing with me right now. This is how this is reading. Like, well, I did it on accident. And what I meant was, I was trying to now, in part of it, he did say he was going to be a part of the actual, it sounds like, let me go to his quote. He allegedly said, the federal RICO I'm about to drop on Kris and Kim. So that statement leads me to believe, because obviously he doesn't have the authority to drop any criminal case against them. So I guess that one line can be interpreted to say he meant civil when it came to that. But I think the public, it's not really about your subjective intent. It's really how the public can perceive it. I think everyone that heard this perceived it from the perspective of they were being investigated by the feds, and that the feds were like, they might have been coming from the criminal aspect. So his argument is basically, I ain't mean to publish that. And I was thinking about because he was so frustrated with them keep breaching the contract, that he was so frustrated that he meant he was going to be the one to file when he was on TMZ. I don't know, Ray J. I don't know about that. I mean, that's a little murky for me. Now, to cross claim and do a breach of contract and throw it all up in one, okay, I can see that. But why you ain't do that back in 2023? So they're going to respond to this cross complaint. They may try to dismiss it. I don't know how they'll respond. But I do think it's interesting that he responded to their complaint with an answer. He did not respond with a dismissal on the pleading or defamation. You have the anti-slap. He didn't respond with an anti-slap to basically, and you can attach extrinsic evidence or evidence outside of the pleadings with the anti-slap. So you didn't come and say, well, we already settled this specific issue related to the RICO. So to say like that was already settled, all claims were settled, but you said it in 20, that settlement according to you was in 2023. What does that have to do with what you allegedly said in 2025? So I'm not picking up what's being put down, but I don't know. I really don't know. So yeah. He did the same thing on Kai Kanai stream, talking in the background. I forgot to turn his mic off. They had to yell to him that his mic was still on. Just be saying anything. Like, why would you even say that? Like, and it's publishing to you are publishing it to another person, unless you was talking to yourself and it happened. I don't know. Listen, I think it does sound like that there may have been an agreement according to him, that this whole sex tape scandal, I think we all would look side-eyeing it anyway. So I think he's just tired of the narrative, but I think it is jacked up to say, oh, they make you relevant. That's why he's talking about it. He's talking about y'all because they the only ones that make him relevant. Ray J, I don't think is a broke person. And heck, if he was broke, allegedly y'all just gave him $6 million, so he wouldn't be that broke no more. Allegedly. So I don't know. That is the lawsuit, y'all. I hope you guys enjoyed this here live. I just wanted to bring you the actual documents because, again, when you have the headlines, you just don't know. You don't know. They pick and choose the sentences that they think is important, that'll clickbait you and wow you. And so I try to make it my business to bring the actual documents, and that is what we did. So if you just came in, make sure you hit that bar back because we did go over the original complaint. Yesterday, Ray J filed an answer to the complaint. He also filed a cross complaint. That was part of the news on yesterday, that the cross complaint happened and that he, some of the things he was accusing him of. Alex Spiro, I think, made a statement and said it was ridiculous and you about to lose and all the things. He was Alex Spiro and he was Quinn Emanueling yesterday. So yeah. So I don't know, y'all. Is he an attention seeker? I do think he does the most, but something could be going on with him. I don't know these people. I just know that we got another case to follow. That's what I know. So I hope you all, I know that a lot of you guys are at work. Thank you for checking in with your girl while you are at work. I appreciate it. And thanks to everyone that hit the replay. Make sure you guys share for those so they can see what the actual documents have to say. If you do not follow me on Instagram, make sure you go follow me on Instagram, pam.esq, and then the same over on TikTok. And that's that. Everybody a hot mess, honey. It might end up in arbitration because he's filed the cross. Then maybe that's a way to get it into arbitration, because that cross complaint probably will end up in arbitration. He can request it if that was part of their agreement, and maybe that's the strategy that, hey, if we cross complaint, then we can get this about the public eye. I don't know, but as long as it's on the docket, we're gonna pull it. It may not be on the docket soon if they take it into arbitration. So Smokey Robinson. Nope, I got to look that up. I almost forgot about it. Thank you so much for reminding me. I know you guys have been watching all this Trump information. Did y'all see that email about what they said with Trump? I was like, what? I don't know what they gonna do over there in the White House. I don't know what they doing over there in DC. Some people think ain't nothing gonna happen because they don't never happen. But yeah, these emails are wild. And for those of you that don't know, the emails came from the estate of Jeffrey Epstein. So they were not something that were released from the DOJ. It was from the estate. They subpoenaed the estate and all of the. I said, these people just email each other. That's what they do. They just write down everything they say. So yeah, it's a mess. So I don't have time to go over them thousands of emails, but the few that I saw from people like on TikTok that have been talking about it, I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm going to go and probably read a couple of more on today, try to finish up my day. And yeah, you said what happened, 323 type. With what? Which one? We done talked about a couple of things on here. But I'm going to check in Queen Shadina about Smokey Robinson. I literally forgot all about his case. That was like, wasn't it like his maids and stuff, I think, were accusing him of things, but I have to double, and his wife. I think they threw his wife in there too. But for those that don't know, I did look on the docket yesterday, and they do have it that trial with Milagro is starting on Monday. That's the one I was talking about, Andrea. I said, Bubba, what? Lord, you have a good weekend too. Thank you so much for the kind comment. I appreciate that. Y'all make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. We out of here. Hope you guys enjoyed the live. We'll talk soon.